Welcome to Soapbox Theology. I hope you guys had a wonderful Easter, ate lots of candy, pet some bunnies maybe. But I wanted to start today by focusing on the resurrection. And the resurrection for the Christians, even though Easter is the day that we kind of commemorate it as a holiday, the resurrection is the main message. I mean, that's the gospel all year round. That's what we're talking about. That's why we worship Jesus. That's what the gospel message is all about. So I wanted to begin today by reading 1 Corinthians 15:14. If Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is vain, and your faith is in vain. My faith, and if you have any out there, is in vain if Jesus Christ has not raised from the dead. Without the resurrection, faith is pointless. With the resurrection, faith is everything. And that's why this is so important for us to remember this. And even though Easter has already gone, Easter is great because it means he is risen. You know, I once had to wear an Easter bunny costume. I worked at a grocery store and hand out candy to the kids. And it's a cool thing because it always reminds people that there's something special about this time of year, spring, which represents new life. This is why we actually celebrate it in this time. The tradition with the Easter bunnies and all that stuff started with the Lutherans in the 17th century, and part of it was just to enrich the holiday for children, handing out candy and the golden egg, and it used to actually be an example it was an illustration to explain to the kids about the resurrection and everything. But over time, it's just kind of become its own thing. You know, we celebrate, we have candy, we have bunnies and all that sort of thing. But the idea is to make this holiday make this holiday great again, but to make the holiday something worth celebrating for everyone to understand that this is a big deal. And the point is to have a celebration that's pointing to something greater than itself. It's to create a reminder that he is risen and that there's something that we are commemorating all the time as believers. Yes, and as my kids get older, give them chocolate, tell them the story, and we have a good time because we're celebrating that new life has come. This is why Johnny Cash sang, "O death, where is thy sting? O death, where is thy victory?" quoting Paul, writing to the Corinthians. Also he wrote, "Ain't no grave gonna hold my body down." And because part of the whole point of the resurrection, even the gospel, the full gospel, is that because he rose, we will yet rise as well. And the idea is that Christianity, it teaches that we will have everlasting life. Life will continue after death. And that is specifically what the resurrection is exemplifying for you and I. There is life afterwards. Further, the resurrection and Easter in this context reminds us that Jesus is in fact God's mouthpiece. Jesus does in fact speak for God. The resurrection is a sort of a mark of approval by God. It's a validation point. It's to silence the masses and to say, yes, I am from God. Yes, I am speaking on his behalf, and so we should listen to him. So it is teaching us that there's life beyond, but it is also teaching us that he is in fact the way, the truth, and the life, and this is the proof of it, the resurrection. Further, it's also telling us that Christianity is an active religion. It's not based on some teachings of some long dead guy that people have found that are useful in the future. No, it's an ongoing relationship with God, with Jesus Christ. This is why some people say it's not a religion, it's a relationship, because it's an ongoing relationship with God. He's not dead. We're not just people who happen to buy into a set of beliefs and think they're cool and try to carry them on into the future. It is an active relationship with him. And so Easter is that reminder that Jesus is true, his words are faithful, and that there is victory over death. So I like to think of the resurrection as God placing the exclamation mark at the end of Jesus' ministry. It's like, bam! That's what he was doing. That's what he was all about. Listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. And this is part of what the celebration and the reminder is for. So even if people didn't believe the little signs, the healings, the casting out of demons, his authoritative and totally different kind of teaching, the resurrection then drives home this point. This is not a mere man doing these things. This is not a mere movement. This is the good news given to us by God. The other thing that's cool about the resurrection and Easter itself is that it's a continual reminder. Even though the gospel is always preaching this message, it's this one time of year reminder where there's almost a question. It's like, this really happened. This is what Christians believe. This actually happened back there in history. And it's a reminder. It's a reminder to preach the gospel, and it's a reminder that we believe that this is true. And so it's kind of even though it's an exclamation mark, it's also a question mark to the world. Do you buy this? Do you believe this? Is there life after death? Does Jesus have anything to say about our lives? Is he really the spokesperson for God? And these are the questions Easter continually puts before us, and specifically the resurrection. Perhaps many of us have heard John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever should believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." See, the resurrection and Easter is giving a picture, is giving a framework to that idea of everlasting life. Jesus came back from the dead. He lives on. And for the rest of us, we can therefore avoid that perishing and continue to move on. And so it's giving us an example of what this verse is talking about. He is risen. And this is the message that Christians are to share with the world. The resurrection really happened, and there really is life after death. And this is why people have near-death experiences, that so many people have testified that they have happened. They have experienced life beyond, even when they then come back. At the very least, that should give us something to think about. That should help us, that should give us something to investigate a little bit. Easter is also, it's a reminder. People are dying all around us. I mean, with the coronavirus, people are dying all around us. People die every year. Millions of people die every year. This is another opportunity to remind myself and you, all of us, that death doesn't have to be the end. God came and made a way so that death doesn't have to be the end. That's the gospel. I think for us, part of the celebration should be not only that did happen in the past, but that this truth is readily available in the present now and moving forward. It's available to all of us, to any who believe. That's the gospel. I pray that people respond, people that would consider it this season, especially when we're in a time period in the world where there's death all around us. There is a continual reminder that life is short, that life is fragile, that life could be snuffed out very quickly. Seemingly otherwise healthy people have gone on to meet their Maker, and whether they were prepared or not is the question. And there could be very many more of us where that happens too. And so we ought to consider these deeper questions. Is there life after death? Does Jesus have anything to say about that? And should I maybe look into these claims a little bit? I hope that we do. Easter is always a reminder of that, but the gospel is a continual reminder of that, and I pray that Christians are continually reminding the world. That's part of the purpose of this channel and what I wanted to do here today. So the gospel, consider it. Consider what Jesus has said and what he has done. Thanks. Have an awesome week. So thanks for watching Soapbox Theology and hanging out with me a little bit here today. Hopefully that helps and encourage your walk with God. Continue to preach the gospel and spread the good news. Thank you so much. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and all that jazz. Have an awesome day.